Hello, everybody. Hello, students family. I hope everybody's doing well, that you guys are keeping safe and healthy. Please remember to stay home. This is the time to stay home. I know you must be driving your parents crazy, and your parents must be driving you crazy too, for sure. But this is the time to stay home. I promise you, we will be out of this soon. Hopefully that is what we want, but in order to do that, you need to stay home. And what you're going to be doing in the meantime when you stay home, you're going to be spending time with moi, who is one of your favorite professors. I don't know, I hear that I'm one of the favorite, but I don't know if that is exactly true. The point is that yes, I love being your professor, and because I love what I do, I create a video podcast. And today, very exciting news, is the first day of my video podcast from Suarez basement. It's called From Suarez Basement because I produce the show from the basement of my house. What we're going to be doing, we're going to be interviewing professionals in the media and the arts that are right now working. We're going to be asking how the coronavirus crisis is affecting the industry right now, but also how it's affecting it for the future, right? Because you're going to be working in the future. Hopefully that is the case in the media and the arts industry, and I want to be sure that you are informed. We also are going to be interviewing some faculty members of our university and some members of our university administration to talk about online education, how we adapting to online education, news about the administration, and things are coming very soon. So this is a podcast created for you, the students. So I really hope you will stay with me. I'm very excited. Our first guest today is Mitch Gelman. He's the president and CEO of WCNY. I'm excited to be able to sit down with him and talk about the media industry and the future of the media industry before and after the coronavirus. Mitch have an extensive background in digital media, news broadcasting, and media management. So he's the perfect first guest for our video broadcast. So I welcome you to my basement, and we're going to start the show right now. Here we go. Okay. So, hi, Mitch. How are you?
I'm good, Professor. How are you today?
Good. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this for us. This is fantastic. Like I say, the idea of this podcast is for not only my students, but any students out there that are in the communication field, broadcasting, entertainment, film industry, that want to keep themselves informed and educated of what's going on right now in the industry, based, of course, in the crisis that we're living in, but also what is the projection of the industry. So that's kind of the main goal of the actual podcast. But before we go into that one, I just want to ask you first, how is the WCNY family doing? How you guys dealing with the situation?
Yeah, everybody at WCNY is well and healthy. The first and most important priority that we have is the health and well-being of the people who work at WCNY. So about 80+% of the staff is working from home. Given the fact that we're in telecommunications and news, WCNY and public media is considered an essential service. So we are allowed to continue to have the presence that we need in order to stay on air and to remain operational. One of the new initiatives that we took on in partnership with the Syracuse City School District was to create a TV classroom network. So in order to produce the TV classroom network, We have a skeletal production crew that is coming in um, pretty much every day of the week to film teachers giving courses on a classroom set that we developed in our studios. And we have our radio hosts coming in to continue to broadcast Classic FM, our classical music station. In all cases, we're taking very seriously the social distancing guidelines and protocols and are disinfecting all of our tables, surfaces, microphones, keyboards at every chance we get.
So tell us a little more about the classroom program that you just launched for the Syracuse School District. I think it's very interesting, and it shows again the commitment that WCNY have with the community.
Yeah, I mean, we're public media, so, by definition, we're here to serve the public. And education is at the core of everything that public media at WCNY and in this country exists for. So a couple of weeks ago, the superintendent of the Syracuse City School District, Jaime Alicea, reached out and presented an interesting challenge. He said that he anticipated that he was going to have to close the Syracuse City schools as a result of the COVID-19 crisis, and that unlike a lot of school districts in our region, they couldn't rely on online learning for their distance learning for the Syracuse City School District, because 30% of the 21,000 students do not have internet access at home. And this is, similar for other students in the Auburn, the Utica, the Oswego school districts, and in the rural communities and counties that bind us all together. It's part of a larger problem in the United States. There's 3 million students across the United States who have a lack of internet access in their homes. It's what the Pew Research Center calls the homework gap in America. So when Chancellor Alicea said, hey, we're going to have these 7,000 students just in Syracuse alone who are going to be completely cut off from learning if we have to close the schools, we tried to figure out what we could do together. And what we agreed on is that if the district could provide the teachers and the curriculum, we would provide the production and the distribution. And that's the genesis of what is now the TV Classroom Network, which airs on WCNY's Global Connect channel, one of our 5 channels that we feed across the 19 counties of Central New York, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, with a variety of math, science, English language, arts, social studies courses during the day, the best of PBS educational programming like Nova and Nature that aligns with the lessons in science, PBS NewsHour, which aligns with the lessons in social studies. And it's available for all grade levels from K through 12. Starts each morning at 8 a.m. with story time and ends with a field trip in which we take folks on a PBS journey, either to a place in the state of New York or anywhere around the world that they might otherwise not get to go. So that's our small contribution to trying to bring a sense of normalcy, to give these students a continued relationship, if not with their teacher, at least with a teacher in a real classroom setting as best we can.
Perfect. Fantastic. So the primary subject of this podcast is students are out there. They are at home. They must be going crazy living with mom and dad, and mom and dad must be going crazy of be living with the kids again. But the truth is that they are in this need of, okay, what's going on? What is happening next? unfortunately, want it or not, this coronavirus thing have changed the perception of many things. Perception of what we want to do with our life, with our professions. So what is, in your opinion and your experience, how this crisis is changing the media industry, and is anything that we are adopting right now that will change how we do production in the future, how we do business in the media?
I think from the news media um, point of view, what we're learning are some pretty significant things. The first is that in the current age of digital communication and accessibility, that the idea of a newsroom is a legacy idea that will probably not exist in the same way that it did before this time moving forward. It's, if you look at a newsroom, the newsroom was created back in the days of quill pens and carrier pigeons, when uh, you had to have a reporter come into a newsroom to type on a typewriter to produce a story that could then be edited by an editor and then could be put into the pneumatic canisters to go down to the press rooms that had to print the papers to put them on the trucks outside the printing facility, which were all based in the same building. And now with virtual publishing, with virtual communication, the idea that everybody needs to be physically in the same place is something that we are very likely going to break away from. It hasn't been necessary for many years, and but people in news organizations were still attached to old habits. I believe that what this is going to show them is, by necessity, that there are other ways to produce news and information, and that having people congregate in a specific location to do the work the way it's always been done is not necessarily how a news organization can operate in the future. And that's going to create significant ways to reduce costs and potentially make the production and distribution of local news coverage more sustainable for many businesses.
So my question to, and the message to the students will be, are we going to an era where online is, and the whole digital concept will get rid of work or job opportunities, or we should concentrate more in educating our students in that field?
I don't think it will get rid of the job opportunities. I think it will enable more job opportunities to be available in the reporting side of the of the news industry. That that the change is not in the work that's being done. It's going to allow news organizations that pay a lot of money to rent buildings in which they have their newsrooms to now have a more virtual presence. News meetings can be held, through teleconferencing. Reporters can be out in the field filing immediately through digital content management systems without having to come back to the newsroom. So essentially, you can have a news organization without a newsroom, and that's just one area that I think people are going to take away from this period by saying, it really can work that way. If you're building a news organization for the 21st century, you don't have to budget for the cost of a facility or a building in which to set up a newsroom.
For the kids that are stuck at home and using their time, I hope they're using their time in the in a good way. Let's say we go through this, and we will. Let's keep positive, and we will get out of this difficult times, and WCNY or any other network say now, okay, we are open back for business. We're going to start looking for new talent and people who can bring things and ideas to the table. What exactly are you looking for if you were going to start hiring people? What are the positive aspects of this candidate that you are looking for?
Right now, we're looking for people who have a range of skills, people who understand reporting, writing, have a strong work ethic, high integrity, but also who have the ability to operate in a digital environment, whether that is working as a multimedia journalist, having video editing, production, shooting skills, and also having design and technology skills so that they can work within a content management system, to publish. People who are familiar with the ways in which this next generation is getting news and information. Even in the PBS world, a significant amount of the work that we're doing is being distributed in new ways, whether it's digitally through our Passport on-demand system, or in other ways through apps and any way that that people can get information that comes to them. I mean, we're distributing information over our phones and as much as anything else right now. So continuing to move in that direction and having that breadth of skills. You can't just come out of school thinking that you're going to be able to write 1,500 word stories for a magazine or a newspaper, and that's all that's going to be required. Everybody now has to be a multimedia storyteller and have the skills to be as comfortable working in a content management system or with Adobe Premiere as with a notebook and number 2 pencil. A development skill that any great storyteller, of the next generation can't hurt to learn.
That is awesome. Mitch, so you know how everybody's stuck at home and everybody's looking for things to do. And so is anything that you're doing at home that you normally didn't have the time to do? And now you feel like, okay, well, I'm sure you're very busy even when you are at home. I'm just, everybody's like doing puzzles and doing gardening. Is anything that you're doing new that you were not able to do because you didn't have the time?
It's taken a lot of time the last few weeks to really get this TV classroom network up and running. Now that that is up and running, and it's giving me, along with everybody else, a time to reflect. Reflect on things that are important, spending more time with family. Of course, there are things to do around the house, so getting a lot more cooking done now that you can't just go out to a restaurant. Made some pasta last night that I left in the refrigerator overnight, and it was all gone when I woke up this morning. So my 16-year-old son must have liked it. A little bit of that. We're cleaning up the property some, and trying to fill the time with constructive activities as best as possible. I think that, as this extends, now that New York State has extended the school closures for at least, we're talking now in early April. I think the governor has extended the closures through the end of April. I'm hopeful that I'll be able to, get some time with my son, maybe take him fishing, or have him take me fishing, and, go for some hikes with my wife, and just try to try to stay as engaged as possible. Otherwise it's
Right.
it'd be it would be unfortunate to have this opportunity and not to try to use it constructively.
Of
Maybe
course.
I'll sit down and teach myself Unity development over the next few weeks. The better judgment of all of us.
I agree. I totally agree. So, Mitch, just too, because this is a short talk. Let's give a final message or anything you want to our students that are in the other side of the screen. Again, worry about future career. Unfortunately, our juniors and seniors are not going to be able to walk for the commitment this year for graduation. So that is keeping them very sad because you worked very hard for 4 years to have that moment. But unfortunately, they will not be able to walk. I told them, look, you have a good story to tell to your grandkids in the future that you couldn't walk because of the coronavirus. But is there any final message that you want to tell our students at the communication studies department?
Well, I mean, the first thing we do is we need to take care of our family, our parents, our children, our colleagues, and respect the protocols that we're being asked to follow. That's how we're going to get through it. Secondly, once we get to the other side of this, the opportunities that existed before coronavirus are going to be there, for jobs, for careers, and we will have learned new ways to, be successful in whatever businesses it is that we're entering. I would, use this time as productively as possible. Use it to reflect on what's important, and be mindful of how we can support one another. For me, I'm going to go pick out a couple of books that I haven't had a chance to read, and some music that I'd like to listen to, and try to use this time as a way to enrich ourselves for the opportunity to get back to a more productive period once this virus recedes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mitch. We appreciate it from the name of my students and all the students out there, your time and your appreciation for the academic aspect is so important to have people in your position supporting students out there. They respect your point of view and they are very proud to have this connection with WCNY, which has been an amazing partnership with us. But we do appreciate your time.
Thank you, Professor, and thank you for your courage and for caring as much as you do about your students during this time.
Thank you so much. Okay, that is it. We did it. First episode of From Suarez Basement is done. I hope you tune in for next week where we're going to be interviewing Jennifer Knapp, which is the Associate Dean for SCMA from our school, of course. I'm from SUNY Oswego. We're going to be talking about online education, the transfer to online education, and some administrative rules that have been changed in order to make this transition easier for you. So if you want to know more about it, just tune in from Suarez Basement next week. I love you guys, miss you tons. I hope to see you face to face sometime soon. Please say hi to your family at home and take care of yourself. Keep safe. See you next week. Bye.